Hey, hope you're having a good day, a good Erev Shabbos. I'm just returning from the rally in Boston at the Brighton Center, Brighton Common, where over 1,000 people, Jews and non-Jews alike, gathered to show their support, to show their solidarity with the Jewish community, with the Chabad community, with the rabbis. We heard from leaders of JCRC, CJP, ADL, Chabad, government officials. And here I am standing in front of our own shul. Every single Shabbos, as we pray still out here in this tent, we have an armed security guard who we pay, the shul pays every week to stand here and to protect us. I'm not sure how many mosques and how many churches have to have an armed security guard in 2021 in Boston, Massachusetts. But I am sure that almost every synagogue and every Jewish day school, as our camp, we have a camp and we have a full-time security guard, has security guards. Every shul almost, every day school. Because the reality is that the Jews are the ones being attacked. And the fact that we're 24 hours almost since this terrible attack, literally an attempted murder on a rabbi in the heart of Brighton Center, where thousands of Jews live and walk and pray every single day, is mind-boggling. How can it be that it took 12 hours to name the suspect? Why? He was in custody an hour afterwards. How can it be that 24 hours afterwards we have the DA and the Attorney General and the acting mayor speaking? We have to get to the bottom of this, and the police have to make a thorough investigation. Time and again we see that when there's racism or anti-Asian hate or any other homophobic hate, which is horrendous and terrible, it's immediately called for what it is. Yet when it comes to the Jewish people and anti-Semitism, it takes time, and we need thorough investigations, and we're not sure what the motive was of a rabbi walking with a hat and a jacket and a beard and a yarmulke and tzitzis, who was literally stabbed 9 times. What does it take to call something a Jewish hate crime? You know, I Googled to make sure. There's 18.5% of America is Hispanic. 13% of America is African American or black. 5.5% of America is Asian. You know how much percent of America is Jewish? At best, 2%. We are the true minorities. Not the only minority, but we are the greatest minority. And our leaders should be speaking up unequivocally and calling it for what it is. And I do want to thank Rabbi Mark Baker, the CJP, who was unequivocal in calling this a hate crime against Jews. And I hope that our politicians will be able to do that and that we will speak out. It took till the rally for the Boston Globe to have on its news website on the front page about a rabbi that was stabbed. How could that be? It's still not on the front page of the New York Times. I just checked. How could it be? Where is the voice? We don't mind being held to a higher standard, but the double standard, the hypocrisy, is Jewish blood that cheap? And then again, as I mentioned yesterday, we have to call out all those politicians who demonize and single out Israel because they are culpable and responsible for an increase in anti-Semitism. If this was a white supremacist, it would be on the front page of the paper already. And Elizabeth Warren and Markey and all these people would be screaming about the anti-Semitism. Yet here they're quiet. Their Twitter pages are still quiet. You know, in this week's Torah portion, we learn of the daughters of Tzalafchad. Tzalafchad was a man who passed away in the desert, and he had 5 daughters who came to Moses and said, listen, the tradition was that the inheritance went to the sons to keep it in the tribes. You see, you're Jewish by your mother, but your tribe is by your dad. And in order for the land, the way it was divided to be that way, the inheritance of the actual land went to the husbands, and they supported their wives. But here were the daughters of Tzalafchad who had no brothers, and suddenly their father's lot in Israel was going to be lost. So they came crying to Moses, and God responds to Moses and says, they are correct, and tell them that their land, their father's piece of land, will be given over to them. And the Rebbe, in one of his talks, so powerfully says that the reason why the daughters of Tzalafchad merited that a portion in the Torah should be learned, a law in Torah about inheritance should be learned through them, and that they should get a special mention in the Torah, is because these women had a tremendous love of the land of Israel. They didn't just want a piece of real estate. They just didn't want to have a piece of Manhattan. They wanted a piece of Israel because they loved their land and they loved their people. And they stood up and they had a voice and they were loud and they were unequivocal. And we have to learn from the daughters of Tzalafchad. We have to love the people of Israel, the land of Israel, the only place that wherever a Jew will be in the world and suffer anti-Semitism, their fellow sisters and brothers in Israel, in the IDF, will be there for them. If it's Ethiopia, if it's Sudan, if it's Russia. We have to stand up. We have to read the writing on the wall. No one else will stand up for the Jewish people unless we ourselves stand up. It's painful sometimes to think, and we try to be in denial, and we try to think, you know what, this one will and that one will. But time and again they fail us. And we have to remember to call out the people that have to be called out. You could be a peace-loving person. You could be a person who loves tolerance and social justice and cares for everyone. But you must have the courage to stand up and call out those who demonize and single out the Jewish people and the only Jewish state in the world. I'm standing here proud with my kippah, my beard, my tzitzis. We will be in shul tomorrow. Yes, we will have a security guard. But Am Yisrael Chai. And as the prophet said, Netzach Yisrael lo yishaker. The eternity of the Jewish people doesn't lie. We're thousands of years that we've been hated. The pogroms, the Holocaust, Khmelnytsky, the Nazis, the Romans, the Greeks, the Assyrians, the Egyptians. They all tried to annihilate us. They all tried to demonize us. They all tried to make us different. They all tried to make us scared and meek and timid. And time and again we've stood up unequivocally. And time and again we've survived and thrived. And the same will be here. But we need every Jew. And we need every human being who cares. We need every person who loves justice, who loves social justice, who cares for minorities, who cares for what's right, to stand up and speak in a loud and clear voice. God bless you all. Have a great Shabbos. Am Yisrael Chai. And may we never have to do this again. No more rallies. No more fighting. We should be able to be proud and walk the streets of Chestnut Hill Avenue or Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts, the way we are. And we shouldn't have to have people screaming Hail Hitler at us, or heaven forbid trying to stab someone, or putting a swastika somewhere. Never, never, because this time we will never again go quiet. Am Yisrael Chai, Shabbat Shalom, and we'll see you tomorrow.